welcome to Atlanta Mix 108. Up next is Author Talk with your host, M.L.Ruscsak.
I'm ready for your love, don't wanna waste your time. It's you I want forever, and forever's a long time. I'm ready for your love, I wanna spend my time with you and no one else until the end of time. Cause I'm ready for your love, don't wanna waste your time. It's you I want forever, and forever's a long time. Cause I'm ready for your love, I wanna spend my time with you and no one else until the end of time. I'm ready for your love.
Morning.
Hey.
What's wrong?
I've just been thinking lately, there's this girl, that I like, but, my homies, they're telling me, basically, to do my own thing.
You don't listen to anyone. You listen to your heart. Do what sets your soul on fire. Don't listen to them.
I can't believe that you really made me stop pitching. And though I think about it, yeah, it got me tripping. And now I'm having visions of you and me forever. They say it's locked down, I say it makes me better. My boo gon' love this, homies gon' think it's cheesy, but I'm still in the hood, and I'm still talking greasy. I just found something real, someone that I could chill without no problems, no drama, someone I really feel. What was this man without you? See, you became my world. You sexy lady, drive me crazy, you my favorite girl. No more wildin' with the homies and hanging in the clubs, cause God sent me an angel, yeah, sent from above.
I'm ready for your love, don't wanna waste your time. It's you I want forever, and forever's a long time. I'm ready for your love, I wanna spend my time with you and no one else until the end of time. Cause I'm ready for your love, don't wanna waste your time. It's you I want forever, and forever's a long time. Cause I'm ready for your love, I wanna spend my time with you and no one else until the end of time. I'm ready for your love.
And now it's been a year, seemed like just yesterday. I scooped you up, gave you a hug, you stole my heart away. I knew I wanted to keep you when you sat down in the seat. No matter of fact, it was when I saw you walking in the street. I told my dude, look at that girl, ain't she a beauty? Pretty face, thin waist, and a nice booty. She had me straight like whoa, she had my heart thumping. Sorta like beats up in the car bumping. I wanted you on my side, saw it no other way. Love was in the air cause it was Valentine's Day. Like where you been all my life when I was in the slums. I want you to be the one, I'm ready for your love, girl.
Don't wanna waste your time. It's you I want forever, and forever's a long time. I'm ready for your love, I wanna spend my time with you and no one else until the end of time. Cause I'm ready for your love, don't wanna waste your time. It's you I want forever, and forever's a long time. Cause I'm ready for your love, I wanna spend my time with you and no one else until the end of time. I'm ready for your love. I'm ready for your love.
Yeah, I just wanted to tell you that you're so beautiful, you're so amazing, and I'm so glad you came into my life, girl. Yeah.
Just when I think I can learn to love one, I imagine myself all alone and you're gone. I'm ready for your love, don't wanna waste your time. It's you I want forever, and forever's a long time. I'm ready for your love, I wanna spend my time with you and no one else until the end of time. Cause I'm ready for your love, don't
Welcome, Atlanta, to another edition of Author Talk. I'm your host, M.L.Ruscsak. I'm here with Shelby and I'm so sorry, I cannot pronounce your last name.
Yastrow, Y-A-S-T-R-O-W.
It sounded right in my head, but I wanted to make sure. And we're here to talk about your wonderful book, Bad Lies.
Thank you.
So you want to tell us a little bit about that today?
Sure. Yes, this is a novel, a work of fiction. It's the third novel I've written, and had some nice success with the first two. This novel I was actually co-written with a gentleman named Tony Jacklin, Jacklin, and for anyone in the sports world, they would know Tony. He is in the World Golf Hall of Fame, having won both the U.S. Open and the British Open, and as a commander of the British Empire.
Wow.
Tony and I worked on this together because it's a merger, although a work of fiction, of the sports world and the legal world. And I'm a lawyer. I was previously the chief legal officer and general counsel of McDonald's Corporation, as in hamburgers.
Oh.
And this book is a courtroom drama. The story is about a famous athlete, in this case a golfer. Doesn't have to be a golfer, and knowledge of golf is not essential to enjoying the book.
Right.
Who, at the top of his career, winning everything, setting records, is a target of a series of magazine articles accusing him of cheating and using performance-enhancing drugs, which is a fairly topical subject. And his career is ruined. His friends abandon him. His sponsors cancel his contracts for endorsements. And his life is ruined. And he, with the help of this single practitioner lawyer in Chicago, Illinois, files a lawsuit against the magazine and the parent publishing company for defamation of character. For defamation, libel. Libel, as your listeners may or may not know, is when you write lies about a person. And the difference between libel and slander is that slander is when you speak lies about a person. But libel is considered worse if it's in writing.
Right.
And, of course, that's what this was about. And the book involves kind of a little exploration through the First Amendment because there is freedom of the press and freedom of speech. And the reporter refuses to disclose his sources for his stories, and which raises the conjecture that maybe he had no sources and he made them up. On the other hand, he has a constitutional right, at least in the state of Illinois, to protect his sources and not reveal them. So how the lawyers have to work around this. And the title of the book, Bad Lies, is a play on words, because in the game of golf, the word lie refers to how the ball is sitting. If it's sitting nice, high, and easy to strike, it's called a good lie, and if it's down, buried in the rough, it's called a bad lie. And, of course, in this case, the magazine wrote what our golfer thought were bad lies, so it's kind of a double play on words. And the story is really the first page starts with the trial, and the whole book goes through the trial. But the nice thing about writing of trials is you don't stay in the courtroom because the witnesses take you back into other times and places. And the important thing about this, having been a corporate lawyer and an executive of the company, I know that lawsuits are not only battled out in the courtroom, but the intrigue takes place in the sponsors' offices, the lawyers' offices, restaurants, bars, out
right.
in corridors.
It goes beyond just the courtroom anywhere.
Yes.
We see it so much on social
so
media.
I take the reader at all these venues, so you can see how the lawyers are working out their strategy, how the lives of the clients and the witnesses are affected. And the reviews have been excellent. And I had this book, even though I've practiced law my whole life, or since I got out of law school, I had this book vetted by some distinguished trial lawyers to make sure that everything
all the legal
was,
stuff is
right.
right.
Perfectly authentic. I mean, even to the point that in Chicago, who swears in the witness? Is it the judge or the court reporter? I made it very authentic, and of course, there's the backstory, because in the middle of this whole thing, the ubiquitous woman shows up, who claims to have had a one-nighter with our hero, in which he physically abused her, and how the lawyers have to deal with that and keep it away from the jury and the press who's covering the case. So it kind of comes in from all four corners into the center. And as I say, it's being well received. And Tony Jacklin has become a very close friend, and he's a Brit. And in fact, Friday he's going to be on the Golf Channel, talking about the book on TV. And he lended some very valuable authenticity to the lives of the golfer and the caddies and the tour and dealing with sponsors.
Right, because that's something that we non-pro golfers know about. We don't know how they do their tours. We don't know how the caddies' lives are, the golfers' lives. We just see what's on TV. Oh,
we get into everything from the caddies' poker games to how the caddies and the pros travel from tour stop to tour stop, and how they arrange for babysitters. It's a whole different life out on the tour. Where do you get your pants pressed? So it was a lot of fun working with Tony, and I enjoyed writing it.
That's great.
As I say,
it's great that you have a celebrity helping you put the authenticity in your work. And it's helpful. It's helpful, but for any aspiring authors out there, I will warn them that you have to have the rules of engagement about who writes what, because sometimes we sit there and bang heads about how to treat a certain scene, and of course, being from England, Tony doesn't know how to spell words like color and flavor. He has the O-U-R. Right.
But it was all in jest. We had a lot of laughs, and we become very close, and our families have become close.
That's
in fact,
excellent.
We just got back from England, where we were doing a little promotional tour in the book.
So what part of England were you visiting promoting this book?
We were in London, two venues just north of London. There were two golf tournaments, and we played in the tournaments in the Pro-Am divisions, and signed books and gave little talks. And one of the courses we played was the Belfry, which golfers will recognize as one of the famous Ryder Cup and British Open courses. And it was fun. And the people over there, being in England with Tony is a real experience, because he's so well known that you walk into a hotel and his picture's in the lobby, next to the Queen. so it's it was a real pleasure and treat for us. And the whole experience has been fun.
Great. Now, do you have any...
Usually writing books isn't that much fun. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Do you have any promotionals or places you're going to be promoting this book here in America?
Well, as I say, Friday morning, the day after tomorrow, I don't know what day this is being aired, but on the Friday the 14th, Tony is going to be on the Golf Channel on television. That's a morning show. It's called The Morning Drive. And I don't know what time specifically his segment will be on, and it'll probably be repeated. It's on for 4 hours in the morning. And right at the moment, that's our only media TV promotion in the works. We have 2 or 3 radio engagements going on, including this one. But we're working on that now. And, of course, today the game is social media, which is a total mystery to me. And using Facebook and Kindle and all those things is maddening. But that's where the action is these days.
there's a brilliant philosophy behind it, and I'm just going back to school for a marketing degree and learning the strategy behind using social media. It takes all the hair pulling out of target social media.
Oh, I know how important it is, and I'm on the board of a couple of companies that are very deep into social media, and and how important it is to their business. And when it comes up at board meetings and other meetings I'm attending, I'm kind of quiet. You know, I call my grandchildren to tell me how to do something on Facebook, so, like everybody else.
I find a lot of authors that do that, or their children or grandchildren, their nieces and nephews even. But it's like, I just got promoted into being the director of marketing for my publishing house.
Oh.
So.
Wow. Good for you.
So
well, you know,
now,
it's, the whole writing thing has changed so much. When I first started writing my first book, I had a yellow pad and a pencil, which Nelson DeMille, famous author, still does. But I quickly learned how to do word processing on a computer. And to me, I mean, we get amazed every day at things, you know, how you get a man on the moon and how our pioneers cross the country in wagons. What I can't understand is how people wrote books before computers, you know, where you could move things around and cut and paste and research. You don't ever have to leave your desk. You can look up any fact on the internet while you're sitting there.
Right. It's amazing how hundreds of years ago they were writing books without the computer. We think about it now like we can't do it. Oh,
not even 100. I think of Ernest Hemingway with a typewriter. And, you know, if you want to write something about, well, it was 1943 and you want to mention something in the headlines, you just punch it in now. You used to have to go to the library to fill those blanks. And, so it's been a lot of fun and learning that. But I think I've exhausted my little talents with word processing.
Yes, well, in 2011, I had to relearn how to hold a pencil. So there went my ability to have my writing tablet, and it forced me to use the computer at that point. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. But anyway, I hope you get a chance to read it. I think you'll find it enjoyable. I'm surprised that, of course, my friends are complimentary, but I've been getting a lot of messages from people I don't know, how they enjoyed the book, and the postings on the Amazon reader reviews have been beautiful. And
5-star reviews.
I'm heartened by the fact that the reader doesn't have to have any pre-knowledge of law or golf. That's all explained a little bit about the golf, and it's just a drama. You know, it's an emotional tug of war, as all courtroom dramas are. My first book was about a will contest, so what could be more boring? And it reached number 7 in the country.
Right.
Because the drama in the courtroom, you know, people fight as hard for their lives as they do for their freedom, for their money, I mean, as they do for their freedom sometimes.
Oh, I know a lot of family that has a lot of drama going around with wills. I'm like, really? This is an excellent book, but being in the center of it is not fun.
Yeah, well, it all started, I don't want to digress too much, but when I was a very young lawyer, just out of school, I was appointed by a judge in probate court to be involved in an estate, and it involved a Catholic priest who died and had no money. I mean, he was, you know, just had a vow of poverty, and he had a 1-page handwritten will leaving everything to the church. But when they went through his apartment, they found a few $1 million in 1s and 5s and 10s, and it raised all sorts of problems. And God, could it have been stolen, you know, and everything. Well, as long as the church gets it. But then another will pops up, and a witness to the will turns out to be fictitious, and that was the story of my first book, and it was based on a true case.
Wow.
Although I changed it around a little bit.
Of course.
But Yeah, courtroom dramas are, every case could be a story, a movie, or a book. But
very true. Now, while we have you on here, where can our listeners find you?
They could find my book on Amazon. That's the easiest place. There's a website that you could order for. It's called badlies.net, all one word. But Amazon is the easiest, I think. And it's also available on Kindle or ebooks. And the cover price is $29.95, I believe. I think Amazon sells it for less. I shouldn't say for sure. And I know the Kindle version is like, I don't know, $7 or $8. And that's been popular. And I urge people to read it. I think they'll enjoy it.
And where can the readers...
I wish I could offer a money-back guarantee.
Right. But where can readers connect with you personally?
Okay, well, that's easy. I do have Facebook, although I'm not very good at it. And I'm very attentive to my email. And it's easy. It's my name. It's Shelby, SHELBY, Yastrow, YASTROW.com. Shelby@Yastrow.com.
That's probably one of the easiest emails I've heard yet.
Yeah, it's like a vanity license plate. And they could Google my name if they're not sure of the spelling, and I'm on there. And I'd be happy. One of my weaknesses is that I read and respond to emails. So people should be wary if they send me something. If someone sends me something, they should be wary that they might get a 4-page response. But that's the plague of a writer, you know.
Yes, it is. We like to connect with our readers. And that's the whole reason why we do radio interviews, why we do TV, and why we put our emails out there so we can interact with the reader.
Right. Well, this has been a pleasure. I hope if there's anything else you'd like to talk about, I'm happy to do it. If not, it's been a pleasure speaking with you. And I'm eager to hear this when it's broadcast.
Oh, I will have this probably broadcasted as soon as possible, and we will get you all the broadcasting information.
That would be wonderful, so I could give it to my publisher.
Oh, of course. And that's always
maybe we could post this on our site, sure.
And, of course, our listeners can always listen to it on Atlanta Mix 108's website as well. So we do have you a lot of coverage that we will make sure we get you, because we want to see your book succeed. That's our biggest goal.
Isn't that a coincidence? I'm a very close friend of a well-known author, fictional author, Scott Turow, who's a bestseller. And we practiced law together. We handled a couple of cases together. And Scott, who's, of course, one of the top, and his books have been made into movies, he said, every author in the world thinks that his or her publisher is doing a lousy job and doesn't do enough marketing. So, we all feel that we've written the great American novel, and we all haven't quite done that. But I like to think that we did here.
You have fantastic, solid 5-star reviews on Amazon, and that's so hard to get readers to give a 5-star review that's authentic. So, good job.
Oh, yeah, and in fact, our publisher said, have your friends do it. And I couldn't do that. I'm embarrassed. So one or two of those names I recognize, but last time I looked, there were about 18 or 20. And I wish I could reach out to those people and thank them. They have impeccable taste.
They do, see? Anyone that they gives a 5-star review on Amazon has impeccable taste in literature as a whole.
Or patience. Yes, this book, it's interesting. If I could just throw this out, it might be interesting to your listeners.
Of course.
when I was through with the book, we talked to several publishers. Fortunately, we had some choices. And I was surprised that most every one of them said, yeah, it's really great. We'd like to publish it, but it's too long. I said, what do you mean it's too long? You don't measure a book by the pages. But, there is in the industry, there's this attitude that if a book is too long, it's thick.
People won't read it.
And people get intimidated by the thickness. Mm-hmm. And if it's too thin, they figure they're not getting their money's worth.
Right.
They said, can you get it down to X number of words? I said, that's like going to the bank and asking for 4 inches of money. You don't measure a book that way. But I was convinced, so I went in and edited the book from 160,000 words to about 130,000 words. And for anyone out there who ever tries to write something, deleting 30,000 words that you spent months writing is like cutting your liver out. It was so hard. But we did it. We did it, and we got it. It's still pretty long, but it's manageable. And but we got it. But it's a fast-moving book. And Jack Nicklaus, who is probably the most famous golfer in the world today, wrote a very nice testimonial on the back cover of our book, in which he said it's a fascinating page-turner. And just if I could add one thing, he and Tony wrote a preface in the book, mm-hmm. both noted the striking similarity between preparing for a major trial, as the characters in the book did, and preparing for a major golf tournament or athletic event. And while the lawyers study every document and every witness and every word, how the golfers study the grain of the grass and the wind and how no matter how much the lawyer or the golfer prepares, the result is usually the inevitable result of a stroke of luck, good luck or bad luck somewhere. A lost document or a witness who all of a sudden lost his memory or gains his memory. And I think anyone who is involved in sports and golf would see that. And it's like everything else in life. Preparation is the necessary ingredient to success.
Right. But it looks like that's all the time we have, and I know your time is very valuable, and you're stretched thin this week anyways. So I thank you again for being on the show today.
I'm happy to accommodate you, and anytime we can talk, I'd love to do it. And hello to all your listeners out there.
And Atlanta, good night and happy reading.
Okay.